Okay, we think we're ready. I'm going to call to order the May 23rd meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority. Item 2 is from the chairman. We have an update from the Water Use Committee on the program. Are you passing that to someone else?
No, I will tell you all about this, and then I will pass it on. The Land and Water Use Committee had a meeting on April the 25th. We had 2 items. One of the items, you will find the full resolution in your packet, and that has to do with the fact that we had a MOU of understanding with a group for River Park, where we specified that it would be equestrian only, and that did not work out. And so you have a resolution in your packet, and the equestrian will be a part of the resolution, but it will not be the only activity that we would like to see there at River Park. So you'll find that in your packet just further down. And then the next item, and we recommended that we approve that resolution. And the next item is from the Last Frontier Council, and it's regarding a long-term lease at Elm Grove Park for the Last Frontier, the Boy Scouts, to develop and build their headquarters. And we are fortunate today to have Jeff Woolsey here to tell us and make the presentation. And I will tell you that it was a recommendation of the Land and Water Use Committee that staff create the resolution and agreement to go further. Jeff? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and Mr. Chairman, thank you, and members of the committee, thank you for allowing us to come and talk this morning. Appreciate it very much. I have several folks with me this morning. I want to introduce them. Starting here is Ryan Lemons, our Director of Development for the Last Frontier Council Boy Scouts of America. Next to him is Russ Harrison. He's a past president of our executive board, and he's currently our campaign chairman for a capital campaign to build a new headquarters and program center that we're going to talk about briefly. Down from him is Bob Spinks. Bob is a longtime volunteer, a board member. He's vice president of administration, and he actually led a group that worked along with the Parks Department and looking at different sites which had been proposed from the Parks Department and led us to the Elm Grove Park area. All of us, including these 3 gentlemen, are here to answer questions when we get to them as you have them, but we're very excited with this project. We currently have our current office, and that's all it is an office building, up on 63rd Street at May. It's been there for 26 years. At our height a few years ago, before COVID, we were serving over 13,000 youth members. We're returning to that very quickly. We're sitting at about 35% growth over last year after COVID decreased our ranks, but we will get back to those numbers. There is no doubt, because there's a demand for young people and their families to be in scouting. We need something far more than just an office building, what we have now. Many of you might have recalled or may recall that our office, our program center, used to be located on 10th Street on the Oklahoma Fairgrounds area, right there near the corner of 10th Street and May. I don't remember what happened. I wasn't here, but we had to move. Very quickly found the building that we're in now, and it was supposed to be temporary. That was 26 years ago. And so now we need a new purpose-built home where we can have young people come and do the scouting program in a deeper fashion, more centralized in the city and in the metropolitan area. And so we were very grateful to start working with the Parks Department on looking for a possible location after we had looked at some other locations prior. When we found Elm Grove Park, we thought, what a great place. Our vision is that we'll have a program center somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 square foot. It will have our office or our administrative offices in it, but that is just a small component. Our vision is to bring somewhere 150 to 200 young people a day there. primarily from Oklahoma City Schools after-school programs, where we have programs in almost all of those schools. And much of that is done after school, and we want those young people to experience a much deeper scouting program in the outdoors, which you know the outdoors is our laboratory. And it gives us an opportunity for young people to come and experience the things in scouting that many other children get to experience if they're in more traditional, what we call traditional troops and packs. We think this kind of reshapes a lot of our program. In fact, we are in a period of transition of wanting to affect many, many more young people and their families. And we feel like this facility will do that for us. The water feature on the park is very attractive to us, not for swimming, but for boating. You know, boating is a part of scouting, canoeing, and rowboating. All aspects of our program can do one or the other or both. This would give us the opportunity to do that here in the city and have many more young people and their families enjoy that. It would also give us an urban campground for our traditional packs and troops that are located throughout our 26 county area. And so we just flipped to a kind of a concept map that we've had put together of what would a building look like, or the general shape with parking and the entire grounds there, what we could do with it. And with this much area, we can do a lot. We can have young people camping, we can have them shooting bows and arrows, we can have them fishing, we can have them, like I said, canoeing and rowboating, working on merit badges, working on skill awards, you name it. We can do so much here, and especially for young people that are in the core part of the city that we don't affect to the deepest degree that we would like to. We think this would just be a unique opportunity to have them here. We have very strong partners that know about this concept. They say they want to be involved. Oklahoma City Schools is one of them. They want us in all their schools after school. They see the value of young people learning the Scout Oath and Scout Law and learning to live by the values that those teach. Also, we have a very strong partnership with Boys and Girls Club. We have programs at many of their facilities and their after-school programs. So with those partnerships, we feel like that we would be able to tackle things like transportation, with the relationships, and kind of having partners like that, we're helping to reach more young people. So we see this as a real opportunity. We're very grateful that there is a possibility of us doing that. You may ask when, because when we met with the subcommittee, I did it by Zoom. I was asked, when do we expect this to take place? One key point in us going forward to raise money to do it is location. So as soon as we get an okay that we have a location, then it's easier for us to go to our donors and say, this is what we're going to do, please give us the money. We have a campaign that is poised and ready to go, as I said, led by Russ Harrison. We have one other individual that was going to be here, maybe he's here behind me somewhere, is Steve Mason. Many of you know Steve. Steve is our construction chairman for this project, and he's busy lining up architects and construction managers to move forward as soon as we raise the money to do it. So a timeline, 3 to 4 years of when we would actually build it. The sooner the better. Our building is up for sale. If we sell it anytime soon, we won't have a home. And so we'll need to get a place that we can be located from the administrative standpoint. We also have a Scout store. It's called the Minders Scout Shop. Many of you know Herman Minders. It's named after Herman and LaDonna. And that store will be located here too. And so this, our facility is going to attract thousands and thousands of young people and families to come down to the Oklahoma River. We are a destination because of members have to come there to do certain business, and we have the store. So they have to come there to buy their uniforms and their badges and things of that nature. So we're very excited about this opportunity. I'm sure I have missed some key points in this, but I wanted to open it up for either questions or if any of the rest of our group has something they'd like to say.
Any questions for Jeff? Maybe this one's for staff, but if I'm not mistaken, this is in what we refer to as the wetlands area on the river. Is that correct? I see David shaking his head, yes. Are we confident that this is compatible for what could be built in the wetlands? We checked that out? Okay, that's a yes. You can say yes? Yes, sir. Okay. And secondly, we received 2 different versions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you decided on which one yet, or are you going to have to wait till you get to talking to your construction people?
Right. We have not decided on which one because they're just conceptuals of how we could possibly use the land. Of course, we would rather have the majority of the land being used for programmatic things. And so we think the 1A is maybe the one that we would select. But part of that is also up to our construction committee of where will it fit best and where would a building be easier built, as opposed to somewhere else on it. We do anticipate, and we've requested, to get the whole site. We want to use the entire site, and we want to be responsible for the entire site because we really feel like we can put it to good use for young people.
Okay. And are we currently working an agreement up, or are we waiting for them for something? Jared, do you know?
Yes, Chairman Mars, we have a lease agreement in evolution currently.
Okay. Very good.
And one other thing I want to make clear too, Mr. Chairman, is that with the Scouts, they are planning on funding it 100% from their donations, so city funds would not contribute to that. So that would just reflect in their lease then for long-term lease of the property for them to then develop.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I think that I like the idea of it being in an area where you can use the grounds for your missions too, but yet you're right in the middle of the city, so it's that seems to be a unique possibility there. I think it's going to be great. Look forward to it. Any other questions?
Yeah, will this lease be similar to what we did with City Care and Crystal Lake, or it will be totally different?
This would be more parallel to what we did with Camp Trevera for the Girl Scouts at the Oklahoma City Zoo property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it. Look
Chairman
forward
Morris,
to it.
thank you. Committee members, thank you very much. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you, Jeff.
We need a motion to accept this update, please. We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 3 is the minutes from the March 28th meeting. Do we have any changes or corrections? Need a motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 4 is the consent docket. We have an oil and gas revenue report, a river corridor events update, and a revocable permit with the Riversport Foundation for the 2023 IJSBA Junior Nationals in the Boathouse District and Regatta Park. Any questions on either one of any of those 3? Any motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 5 is primary agenda items. Item A is a river project summary. Having trouble keeping debris off the river?
It's been very active, very active. Joe Shumway, Oklahoma City Public Works. Our summary for May is as follows. As you spoke, we've been very heavily involved in debris removal. We've had some minor repairs due to some damages with the storms. And even today, we're repairing some radio communications between the dams and 420 from potentially a lightning strike or something that interrupted that. Beyond that, we're just, like I said, it's been a very active debris season. We didn't meet last month, but looking at our numbers, we were about 12 tons for the month of April. This month, to date, we're going for the activities that are going to be happening in the winter. Some of the projects that we're looking at, again, are some shoreline improvements, some anchoring of some debris barrier sites, potentially some improvements in the Canal Zone G area and the Bricktown Landing, some maintenance to be provided there. Also, some bank stabilization is one of the proposals that we're looking at, and some structural repairs for the Eastern Dam. To kind of give you an idea of what those debris look like, this is an area you could almost walk across. And this was actually during one of the same weekends that we had an event. And so our efforts were, utilized upstream to prevent this from going into the rowing communities area, potentially shutting them down. So with that, if you have any other questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any motion to accept that? Cast your vote. It passes. Item C is the presentation on First American Museum Riverboat Landing and on maps for Oklahoma River enhancements. Hello, stranger.
Hi, stranger.
Mr. Flowers, how are you today?
I'm good. Mr. Chairman, members of the trust, and staff members, I'm Dennis Clowers with representing, excuse me, Team Design. Also with me today is Don Douglas and Chris Russell. Chris is the project manager on the Maps for River Enhancements project. This Team Design was selected to do the design work, excuse me, on two projects on the river. The Embark Landing at the First Americans Museum and the Maps for River Enhancements project. What I want to do today is go through a little bit of the conceptual designs on both of those and show you what is planned and how we're moving forward with the projects. This was just the cover of the conceptual report that we did for Embark. The First Americans Museum opened in 2021, and it was the first part of the Ocana development. Other pieces of that development will include a hotel, a resort, parking garage, and it's all scheduled to open in January of 2025. Embark received a grant from the Federal Transit Authority last year to construct a riverboat landing at the Ocana development site. Embark currently operates 5 other landings on the river, beginning at Regatta Park and working back upstream to Meridian. Embark specified that the construction of the landing must be completed prior to June of 2024. Team entered into a contract with Embark in November of last year, and the scope included developing concepts for the staff and the trust to choose from. And they requested that we provide them with 2 concepts. This is just a kind of an aerial view of the site showing the river on the north. The Ocana development back down to the south, including the museum, which is already constructed, a garage, a hotel, a adventure zone with a lagoon. And this shows you again how traffic might move in and out of the project site. The Embark lease, the Embark received a lease from Ocana last year, about slightly less than 1.5 acres, which is designated by the white dashed area right alongside the river. And you'll see that in more close-ups here in a minute. This is what we call Concept 1, and this is looking basically to the east along the south shore of the river. You can see the Ocana lease is outlined in the red dashed line, and again, it's about 1.5 acres, a little less than that. This concept, as it's shown here, includes a fixed dock as opposed to a floating dock. The future hotel and parking garage are shown to the top of the slide and to the right. The dock has two access points, one that's stairs coming down from a plaza down to the front end of that boat, and the other is an ADA compliant ramp, which comes back to the west and around to the back of the boat. There's a site for a future stage. The stage is to be constructed under the MAPS 4 project, but that site is to the top of the screen, right next to where the pedestrian bridge that's also going to be done under MAPS 4 will land. The starting line for the Riverfront boat races is also shown a little bit upstream from that. A couple of the features of this concept, there's a terraced seating area to the west of the future stage location. These terraces are created by using short retaining walls, 18 to 24 inches in height, that curve throughout that area. Then there is a plaza area to the west of that that's composed of colored concrete and pavers. This is just a plan view of Concept 1. Again, the river is to the north. The red dashed is the Embark lease. You can see the hotel and the garage that are under construction to the south of that area. And then this kind of shows how pedestrian traffic can flow throughout the site. This is a closer view of Concept 1. You can see where the stage area will be. The stage is not actually shown. It's to the upper left. And then the terrace seating area back to the west of that. The plaza is shown in a little bit more detail and has some other amenities such as tables, chairs, seating blocks, and planters. All of those items can be included at a later time. This is the same area, but looking from the opposite direction, looking from south to north across the river. And it more clearly shows how the pedestrian bridge in the upper right ties into the project area. This is Concept 2, and it looks very much like Concept 1. The main difference is that this concept provides a more elevated terraced seating area, which requires longer, taller, and more retaining walls. It also includes an underground ticket booth, which is tucked underneath the very top of the terraced area. Other than that, it's the same. It shows a fixed dock landing. Another view of Concept 2 from the south looking north more clearly illustrates the difference in the elevation of the terrace seating area and the walls around it. We also included options not just for a fixed dock, but for a floating dock as well. This floating dock is, as you can see, requires a much different access design, including steps and switchback sidewalks and such. But it would also be tucked within a cove that would be created there on the south side of the river. These are photographs of the floating dock that exists at the stockyards right now, so you can see what that would look like. Project schedule, our contract was approved last November. Conceptual report went to the Embark board earlier this month. We'll have a design contract amendment on their board meeting the 2nd of June. We'll submit final plans to the Embark board this summer. They will advertise for bids in August, bids received in late August, and the Embark board will approve the construction contract at their September meeting. Issue a notice to proceed, and we anticipate construction completed in May and, in April of 2024, and the Embark would accept the project for maintenance in May. David, help me out here. There we go. As I said, there were two concepts that were presented, each with a floating dock and each with a fixed dock. You can see the various cost estimates for those concepts. Our recommendation is Concept 1, which had the shorter, less expensive retaining wall concept with a fixed dock. We feel like this maximizes public gathering areas. The public areas seem to be more user-friendly. The fixed dock is better aesthetically than the floating dock and will require less maintenance in the long term. The cost estimate of $4.3 million is within the project budget, and if a ticket booth is desired at some point, that could be added as a freestanding structure later on. We just believe it's an overall better project. Now I'm going to move into the MAPS 4 River Enhancements Project. This particular project includes 4 pieces. It includes a pedestrian bridge over the river, a low-water dam downstream from Eastern, a community gathering area or the stage, and if there are funds available, some more beautification along the river. There are several environmental constraints, and we did make recommendations in our conceptual design report. The program budget is slightly over $9.6 million. We did, again, a conceptual design report due to the various projects that are included to give the MAPS subcommittee and the advisory board and the council options to pick from. We reviewed the utilities and the property ownership. We've coordinated the construction schedule with various entities, including Embark, Oklahoma River Sport, the ongoing Okana construction, and some Public Works Eastern Dam repairs that were mentioned earlier. This is just an aerial view showing a lot of the information that we gathered having to do with site utilities and property ownership. There's basically two properties ownerships, the City of Oklahoma City and the River Trust, and then the AICCM land development. The first project is a pedestrian bridge. This is just an elevation view. The total span is just under 500 feet. This will be done with 5 spans. This is a plan view of the bridge. It's a 20-foot wide clear between railings. And it goes obviously from the north side of the river over to the south side. We've, again, coordinated with Mike Knopp and River Sport, Oklahoma City River Sport. This is what's shown to the top, or above, excuse me. I'm being technically challenged. Is the starting gates, the movable starting gates for Oklahoma River Sport. And we coordinated the location of the piers and the location of the bridge with Mike and his staff and other stakeholders on the river so that we think we've accommodated all of the needs that we needed to. We looked at 2 different structural concepts for the bridge. One was Portland cement concrete pre-stressed beams, which is the lower figure, and then we looked at steel beams. We recommended, and the board agreed, that the steel beams would be better. They are lighter weight, which makes them a lot easier to construct and install than concrete beams. It makes better connections at either end because they're shallower. They're about 15 inches shallower than the concrete beams, and they do have a longer design life over a body of water. This is just a conceptual view looking kind of toward the southwest. You can see the hotel and the parking garage in the background. And if you look really close in that same general area, you can see the stage that MAPS 4 will build and the boat landing that Embark will build. The cost estimate that we put together for this option is just over $7 million. The low water dam is to be constructed about 1,400 feet downstream or east of Eastern. The design criteria includes creating at least a 4-foot depth to cover the debris that's in the river, that it have no impact to the maintenance or operation of the Eastern Dam, and it would have the ability to have sediment removed and or have the basin flushed. We want to try to maintain the water quality due to a shallow pool of water as well. Our preliminary hydraulic modeling indicates that a letter of map revision with FEMA and city floodplain ordinances will have to be followed. We looked at two different types of dams. This one is what we call a fixed crest sheet pile dam. It's basically steel sheet piling driven to bedrock, extending, there's about 280 feet long that you would see with the water backed up, but it will extend a total of about 500 feet so that it's keyed back into the banks to prevent erosion and seepage. The estimated cost for this dam is about $1.9 million. The other option that we looked at was what's called an Obermeyer Crest Gate Dam, which actually has an inflatable bladder that raises and lowers a gate. Again, it would be driven, founded on bedrock and keyed back into the riverbanks. But the cost on this, as you can see, is significantly higher, $8.3 million. We also want to provide Public Works with an access road for maintenance of the dam. And again, we looked at those two alternatives and recommended the fixed crest sheet pile dam at a cost of $1.9 million. This is just another view of the, that shows the area where the stage might be. If you look in the black and white rendering in the center of the picture, the oval area in the upper right, that's where the stage would be constructed. And that is just upstream from where the pedestrian bridge would land on the south side of the river. We foresee a concrete oval stage with an overhead roof structure provided with electrical power and paved walkways into and out of the site. This would be about a $450,000 estimated construction cost. River beautification is the last part of the MAPS 4 project, and it will happen only if we have additional funds at the end. The priorities are the bridge, the dam, and the stage in that order. There's a lot of environmental constraints that we've analyzed. We're coordinating and will continue to coordinate with several federal offices, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, FEMA, and of course comply with NEPA and the Clean Water Act. Our recommendations on the MAPS 4 river enhancements is for the bridge, which would be, as we described, for a total of about $7 million, the low water dam and the access road for about just over $2 million, the stage for about $450,000, and that would bring us to within about $115,000 of the total project budget. So if we have any money over, some additional enhancements on the river could be done. We are very excited about working on this. We're well into it, and a lot of coordination, as I mentioned, has to be done. And I think Jess, during his presentation, mentioned some things that might be going on. Some work at Regatta Park and some maintenance and repair at the Eastern Dam. We're trying to coordinate a time frame so that they can do that work and the bridge can be built in generally the same time frame. We intend to lower the Eastern Basin middle of November and have it lowered until the 1st of March, which gives us about a 3.5-month window to try to accomplish a lot of this work that needs to be done while the water is down. Riversport Rapids is on board with this. I don't think Mike Knopp ever likes to have water out of the river, but he sees the need for it. I think it's been 8 to 10 years since that basin was lowered before, so it's been a while. But it certainly needs to happen that way so that we can get this work done in a timely manner and meet the schedules. We're happy to be here today, and I would be happy to respond to questions.
Any questions? I don't think they would plan on traveling it, but if for for some reason they need to, can the river cruisers get underneath this pedestrian bridge?
Oh,
How
yes.
high is it gonna be?
Yes. Right.
I know they don't get very close to the dam anyway, but,
No, it can definitely go under the bridge.
yeah, okay. Very good, yeah, it's gonna be nice when it's all said and done. I think Mike will trade 3.5 months for the starting line down there and the bridge and all of that. I think it's gonna work out nice.
Yeah. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept this, please. Cast your vote. And that passes. Okay. Item C is the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority schedule of cash receipts ending March 31st. Any questions on that? Motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item D is amendment number 1 and restated audit contract with Allen Gibbs and Hulick LC for our audit for fiscal year 22-23. Need a motion? Cast your vote. That passes. Item E is a lease agreement with Epic Paintball Park LLC for preliminary activities related to the proposed construction and operation of a recreational paintball facility. I know that we've approved this in the past. He's had agreements in the past, been working on it for quite a while. Still believes it's going to happen. He's requested another year, and I believe your committee looked at this, didn't it, Kathy?
Yes, we did. And he presented on Zoom to us. And so he has some obligations that we will monitor. And the next lease will come up in March of 2024. And so we'll be watching to make sure that he is able to do the things that he plans on doing.
We'd certainly like to see the gentleman's
Absolutely.
project move forward, but it needs to move forward.
Right.
Any questions? Need a motion? Cast your vote.
Trustee Williams, how do you vote?
And that passes. Item F is a resolution rescinding the designation of River Park for equestrian use and designated it as a venue for agritourism and Western-themed activities to include equestrian use. Kathy mentioned this earlier. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Kathy?
Recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions on this? Need a motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item G is a revocable permit with the Fallen Heroes Half Marathon Scholarship Committee for a marathon September 23rd using the South River Trail in Zone 3 of the River Corridor. Any questions? Need a motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item H is the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority's operating budget for fiscal year 23-24. It's being introduced today and set for adoption on June 20. Any questions on that? Any things of note in it?
No, Chairman, and there's nothing different or exceptional about the budget. If there are any questions, we do have Mike Smith here, our budget, everything. He's our business manager for the Parks and Recreation Department. So he's happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions? Need a motion to introduce that? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item I is amendment number 7 to the lease and operation agreement among the City of Oklahoma City, Riverfront Authority, and the River Sport Foundation for lease and operation of the Whitewater facility. This is another amendment to the agreement, supplying them with some operating dollars. It's the only change that's in it as far as I know, and it's just the dollar stuff. It's not, we haven't changed the wording of it any.
I noticed that was on the agenda this morning at City Council, and they approved it.
Yes, City Council approved it this morning, so the group would receive it today.
Any other questions? Need a motion? Cast your vote.
Trustee Stonecipher.
And that passes. Item 6 is claims. We have a claims docket. Any questions on the claims docket? A motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 7 is comments from staff. We have our director's report. Anything additional?
Nothing additional today. There's a really extensively busy couple of months here just lately. Spring is here, of course, so a lot of activities along the river, all up and down. But we continue to try to secure riverfront properties. We've had some issues with illegal dumping happening in a couple of locations, so we're working hard to mitigate that. Otherwise, the report is, so hope you would please accept it.
Okay. I do, reading your report, I did like the sections that talked about the increased discussions going on with, between your staff and some of the entities along the river, and hopefully work out some of the things that have been happening on that. So that was good. Glad to see that. Motion to accept her report, please. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 8 is any comments from trustees? Any citizens to be heard? We are adjourned. Thank you.